to gravity high. Talking tech as the planets fly. The upgrade zone, the show begins. Sit right back and let the future spin.
All right, then. So, Henry, obviously for anybody who doesn't know you, even though you have a fair bit of audience already, so congratulations on that one.
Thank you very much.
Please introduce yourself, give us a bit of an idea of who you are. From what I gathered so far, you are involved in so many things that the list just goes on. So please,
we'll go from sort of halfway through, I think, maybe of the life. So my name's Henry Carpenter. I sort of brand myself as a presenter, public speaker, freelance at the moment, and also host a podcast and media company, and ambassador for a few charities.
Nice.
So the story sort of first started really when I was 14. So we're from a family background of farming in Herefordshire in the UK, so very sort of old-fashioned beef and sheep farm, and we were lambing in 2020. So I think the lockdown was about the 15th of March 2020, something like that.
Yes, yep.
So as a youngster, as sort of 13, 14, you think, oh, this is brilliant, we're off school, fantastic. So it was lambing season, and that obviously, for those who aren't in farming, that means obviously we're lambing. So the mother ewes are about to give birth, and we're probably doing about 200, which is enough. You've got 200 ewes who are doing 3 or 4 lambs, maybe 1 or 2, depending on luck, I suppose. So we're really busy, and as a 14-year-old, you're legally then starting to be allowed to do more jobs on the farm. You're allowed to drive a tractor on the farm by yourself. So my sort of parents said to me, you can go and do that. You can sort of be your own person and be a bit more independent on the farm without having that managership. So I thought, this is brilliant, a good opportunity for me, and went and started doing my own stuff on the farm. Dad still had to go to work because he was a key worker. He works in the agricultural industry in sort of tractor part sales. So he was still at work. So I was left to my own devices a bit to manage the lambing shed, which as a 14-year-old's pretty peak. And it's
no pressure.
A lot. So we were moving. When you have the lambs and they've been given birth and they are basically ready to go back out, they're strong enough. So you usually give it 1 to 2 days while in the lambing shed to sort of get ready to their new life, if that makes sense. They're newborns, they get strong enough. Some of them might be a bit ill. So once they're sort of possibly maybe 6 or 7 hours born, they might be strong enough, but some take it maybe a day, up to a day or 2 to get ready to go back out in the field and they start their new life. So part of that is obviously you've got to transport them out to the fields. So we use old 35 Massey's, so like a really old sort of stereotype tractors. Not everyone does. We still use those old ones with a transport box on the back. So
these things are indestructible.
Yeah, totally. They really are. And we put the basically sheep and lambs in there to transfer them to the field. So one field will have the doubles in, some have the triples, some have the singles, so we don't mix them up. So this particular day, I wasn't actually putting sheep out. I was trying to get some in because sadly one ewe had basically lost its lamb. So it wasn't supposed to be in that field anymore. I was supposed to transport them back. So I thought, as a 14-year-old, I'll go out and do that myself, be very independent. And as I was getting off to close the gate on the way back, I wasn't very successful. I didn't manage to do it by myself. So I was heading back to the farm to go and get some help. As I was getting off, these old tractors, they don't have any kind of handbrake or anything.
Okay.
So what we do in the farming community is you either will switch it off and put it in gear. So in the old-fashioned mechanic, the gear will hold it and stop it from rolling. But what I did is put the hydraulic box down to this big sort of metal box that can, with a gate on the back, and it's enclosed to put sheep in on the floor, so stop it rolling back. Knocked out a gear and left the revs on because you can adjust the revs on the stick on these old tractors. You still kind of modern tractors, but there's no pedal. So what they think happened, because I was knocked unconscious, is I hopped off the tractor and I was getting off, my leg caught the gear stick and knocked it forward and sucked me under and basically went over my back and obviously crushed me. What did the main damage was obviously the hydraulic box. You've got pressure, loads and loads of pressure, nearly tons of pressure on through the hydraulic system that is pushing down on you as that box went over my back and scraped me about 3 meters. So as you can imagine, I was on the brink of death. It was very, I was very, very lucky to survive. At the time I was on my own, and the biggest mistake I think people do now in modern farming is that I didn't have a phone on me either. So I was 14 years old, so I was absolutely shouting for help. I think I was unconscious for quite a bit. I tried to get back up, but my left side had completely been pretty much crushed and dislocated my hip by 3 inches, that sort of thing. So I was just, useless, really. The tractor was still going around the field. Luckily, it sort of went and stalled in a hedge and crashed. So that was a bit of luck, especially the ruts were really dry. It could have come back and hit me again. And luck, just pure luck, one of the farm workers was Craig, who's, God bless him, he was been working for about 40 odd years now, and saved my life effectively because he heard me shouting. He turned the tractor off what he was doing and just luckily heard me shouting. And just at this point, it was all a bit of luck, really. It was a lot of luck. Just at this point, Dad had come home from work as well because they were doing shortened hours, and they all raced down the pickup and found me there lying. Obviously, were very distraught at what they saw. I didn't have a lot of blood. I had a lot of kit on, so I had a lot of overall stuff. So I didn't have a lot of cuts and stains. But obviously, to look at me as a sort of from a farming and equestrian background, once my mum turned up as well, you think if his back's okay, he hasn't broken his spine, he's going to be all right. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll probably be. They thought I was be okay. I was in there lying in agony. I was like,
I can imagine.
Die.
Wow.
And then got to get into hospital, and I was like, as a 14-year-old, I was like, no, I don't want to go to hospital. Da, 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 da. You know what it is. When you're a teenager, you don't even feel like you. I definitely needed to go to hospital. I was dying internally, but they,
You thought you'll walk it off.
Yeah. I kept trying to get up, and they were like, no. But
wow.
The sort of harsh reality of it in these rural areas is that we aren't anywhere near hospitals. Nowhere near what we call major trauma centres, which are centres that will deal with people who have got serious injuries and life-threatening injuries. So really, a short example of it is, but a big amount of luck into a little story. My mum was lent against me, keep my back up. We called the ambulance. They were on their way, but they're about 30 minutes away. So
wow.
Goodness, and I was internal bleeding, so it was a bit scary, obviously, for everybody involved. The police actually, I think, turned up before because of my age. The police had to arrive, and obviously because of the serious incident.
Sure.
And we basically, Mum was on a group. She's a Pilates instructor and a fitness instructor. She was texting all the groups saying it's all cancelled today. This is what's happened. Very, very briefly, obviously, just it had to be done. It wasn't like she was ignoring me or anything. And just by luck, one of her clients, his dad, is what you call a first responder.
Okay.
So first responders are based all around the UK. They're all voluntary and they're all sort of ex-doctors or that sort of thing. And he was only down the road from me, so he rushed up.
I see.
And it was him who called the air ambulance to come and get me because he knew how serious the event was and how bad of injury it was.
How much of it did you realize is actually happening? Because I can imagine in the heat of the moment, you just I'm like you just said, you tried to get up and walk it off. Let's say you couldn't, obviously, but did anybody involved in the whole situation from the start? Did you all realize how bad it could potentially be?
I don't think at the time. Like I said, I think because of this. Obviously, down the line, we'll get down the story, it got a lot worse. But I think at the time, no, it was very much, he hasn't got a spinal injury. He might have broken his leg or his femur or something. I don't think my family did, nor I don't think I did. I think we were very, very scared. Okay. Also, it was the second week of COVID. No one knew what COVID was. That's why I didn't want to go to hospital as well. No one knew what COVID was.
Yep.
And obviously, it was killing these millions of people at the time. It was with 2 weeks into a national lockdown. It was, no one knew what it, March 2020, it's all brand new. So
being on the farm, you were isolated in any way.
Exactly. We felt safe there, but I felt, you're going into the nearest place for us is Birmingham, so that'd be the nearest place we go to for a major trauma. So not really. I think the doctors definitely did. So
I see.
The godsend and who saved my life as well, effectively, was the Air Ambulance, so Midlands Air Ambulance charity I'm an ambassador for now and do a lot of work for them. Because they basically are advanced trauma doctors and paramedics, so what you call critical care paramedics and doctors who are very trained to a high level. So surgeons on a helicopter, they get transported to the scene and obviously can treat sort of hospital level care at the scene. So they can put you to sleep, they can do operations, that sort of thing. Nothing that any kind of normal paramedic can be prescribed to do. So luckily the first responder is ex-critical care paramedic, so he knew the severity of the situation. He basically radioed the air ambulance tower, said, this guy needs the air ambulance, he needs it right now, he's a kid and he's dying, blah, blah, blah. So luckily, I got flew to Birmingham Women's and Children's. There isn't a helipad there, unfortunately, now, so it was we landed in a school field, I think, and then 5-minute journey by ambulance. So, I'm not going to don't go through every single point, but effectively what I had done is just to get my hip by 3 inches, torn all the blood vessels in my leg, which was the internal bleeding, which was the concern. cracked about 5 ribs. I think did bruised quite a lot of muscles. It had 5 layers on my arm.
Okay.
And it basically had bruise all up there, that sort of thing, And there
So,
was 5 layers on me.
In a way, it saved you as well, because
Yeah,
if not those layers, the hand would have been shattered as well.
Possibly, yeah. It mainly was the back it went over, but the wheel, and I always go back to this, is the wheel was about that much away from my head. So, when it went over me, so I just count myself lucky for that as well.
Yeah.
So obviously a lot happened very quickly. As a 14-year-old, it was very, very traumatic and very. But I think what made it more traumatic is the fact my parents couldn't come see me because of the COVID situation.
Yeah.
So you allowed one parent for a couple of hours at a time, even though you had to deal with so much very quickly. So we had all of that happen, and luckily I was at the time okay. They put the hip back in. They said the blood vessels should ideally heal. I was put in traction. Had a week in the hospital. Ideally, it was going to be 6 weeks, but because of COVID, they basically sent everything I needed to a hospital bed and all my kit, everything I needed, back to my house.
Oh,
and
okay.
I literally slept downstairs in one of the living rooms for about 2 months. And I could only up to 40 degrees for about 3 or 4 weeks because your leg's in traction, so it's trying to keep you straight.
Yep.
So really, I thought I escaped with a lucky sort of thing. And by August, I had fully recovered. So I was running around. We were on went to Wales. We go to Wales.
That was my next question. Like, how long did it actually take you to recover?
For the initial stuff, it was about a couple of months. And I just thought, well, that's that. I don't think at the time I really appreciated what had happened. I think I was sort of trying to process it, but also just didn't quite understand how bad it actually was. So it was August and I felt fine, and then sort of beginning of September we're going back to school. I was very lucky enough, I was sent to a very nice school. My parents worked very hard for that, and I was at a boarding school as well, so you're going back to that, and I just started having some really bad pain in my hip, like insanely bad. I just couldn't walk, and obviously chronic pain can affect your back and everything as well.
Of course.
So my parents being from us all being from agriculture and a Christian background, and so kick on, you'll be fine. You're just being a bit wimpy. And I was like, okay. And I just generally was bad. And I was like, I came to a point in the first 2 weeks of school, I couldn't even walk anymore. I was generally like limping everywhere. And I was like, I needed to go and see a specialist. But because of the whole COVID situation, that trying to get an appointment to see a doctor or whatever and take you seriously is like a long process.
Sure.
So I think we saw someone by October. And then I got diagnosed with what you call a vascular necrosis. So the blood vessels in your hip completely starts to die.
I see.
So everything starts to degrade, as if like an old person. You've got an old person's hip. That basically what happens with them, it either degrades or their blood vessels start to shrink, and then that's how the bone density starts to go.
So it was like a result of what happened in the first place. It just took a little while to actually show.
Yeah. It was definitely a possibility they gave us when it first happened, but I just went over the head.
I see.
And you don't really think about it. So that was, I was probably the worst 6 months of my life, I think, because I just got worse and worse and worse. Your hip just starts to degrade, and your leg, you have like no function in the left side of your leg pretty much at all. But obviously a hip injury will affect everything. So my spine had scoliosis start to form as well, because my whole body went like that.
Yep.
And sorry, I know if people aren't listening probably can't see, but my whole body went probably like left, all the left side sort of shape around like a curvature of the spine.
To take the pressure off of that.
Or because
body,
your body's reacting to the injury.
Yeah.
So it's thinking, right, whole body, surround that and make sure it's safe. And also there's nothing there to support it, so it's just collapsing in on itself.
Yep.
So I had to use like a mobility scooter at school, stuff like that. So that affected my mental health, and that's when I was diagnosed also with OCD, so obsessive compulsive disorder, which I still have now. Also had depression, anxiety, those sort of things started to form eventually, and it got very dark at one point. And eventually I just had to leave school. I couldn't do it. I couldn't face it. It got really, very bad. So I was a bit like at cross ends, like, what the hell do I do now? I'm 15. I think I was 15 at 16 at that point. I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? My parents obviously were very worried, and because there weren't a lot of solutions. No one's had this kind of injury at my age before. Like, nobody, I don't think anyone in the UK at least had that.
I know that every kid, every now and then will say like, this was the worst day of my life, right? But in your case, like, my God, that's
absolutely.
That's a different level.
yeah, I hope it was definitely the worst day of my life anyway. But yeah, it was just, I don't know. It's quite mad to get your head around. It happened very quickly as well. You know, you're talking sort of matter of 10 seconds, the accident happened, but then the tractor's away, and that's what happened. Then you've got years and years and years of rehab after that.
Yep.
And very luckily, I met the right surgeon at the right time. A bloke called Ronan Tracy, who did the same surgery as Andy Murray had, actually, just through connections. And I was kind of pushed to the top because it was needing top surgeons to sort of sort me out. Had a resurfacing when I was 16, what we call hip resurfacing. And that sorted me out. So I had 17 sort of beginning 18. Had a great time, great couple of years. Could get back to stuff. We did a lot of challenges at the same time. That's where my sort of media side of stuff started.
Okay.
So when I was 15, 16, before I had the surgery, this sort of really dark part of my life, we had the second lockdown. And I decided to walk 54 miles in 30 days on crutches.
Wow.
Which at the time, because I could barely walk, everyone thought I was absolutely insane and I could never do it. But I was like, no, I needed something to do. It was the airbase, we called airbase 30 challenge. The Midlands Air Ambulance had started the 30th year anniversary of them. They were trying to promote stuff for people to do knockdowns, to go outside and do walks and stuff like that, to raise money for them.
Yep.
I was like, well, they've saved my life. Let me do something. So it was 54 miles as the distance between two of the air bases. Like, let's do that. So the first sort of 15 days, I started doing it all over socials. First 15 days, got quite a bit of traction. People started supporting me and that sort of thing. The second 15 days, it just blew up to a big scale. Like, people were starting to back me. We were on BBC, ITV. Just got really quite mad.
It's a great exposure to have as well at such a young age. This is amazing.
Yeah, 100%. It did teach me quite a bit about the media side. Obviously, my dream and goal is to do TV presenting and radio presenting. That's what I want to do, and I think that's partly because that's part of my life. I think where I was starting to in a really dark place, and with other people creating media, I could sort of be happy a bit more.
Yep.
And try and uplift a lot of other people from something that happened to me.
It's all a game of content these days, isn't it? Even if you are, part of the company, you still have your own brand. Whoever you are. So I think it's a great idea.
Definitely is. I think that links down to the media stuff, which we get on a bit later on in the story. But yeah, so had 2 years of that. Sort of on and off doing fundraising. I did 300 miles on the bike as well in 3 days, which was another crazy challenge I decided to do when I was like 17, 18. And then just unfortunately, the first surgery failed, and I'd worked really hard for my A-levels. And about a month and a half, 2 months before my A-levels, I had to have another major surgery. I had to have full reconstruction of my hip, which was just bad luck. But that happened. Then since then, it's been pretty good, and it's just been growing and growing and growing. Mental health side's always up and down a bit, I think, depending on what situations you are in and stuff.
What helped you to keep like the mood a bit better? Was there anything specific?
Definitely the charity stuff's helped because of the
something to focus on.
Yeah, something to focus on. Okay. I think that's why I needed that challenge as well, was just something to get me through every day and give me a purpose to keep getting up. And that was definitely a big crash after that as well. You had the first you finished the challenge. I think we raised about £17,000.
Amazing. Wow.
And you had that sort of massive achievement for that weekend. We finished on the Friday. Loads of people, interviews with the media, and that sort of that weekend. And then the Monday, it really hit. Everyone's back to work, and it really hit your reality, and you're back down to where I was before, effectively. And I was a bit like, oh my God, this is like, tough. But I think that's a really good life lesson in that, especially if you want to go into media. There's going to be points where people are going to be excited to see new stuff, and then when you aren't producing that new stuff anymore, they won't really want to know you.
Yep.
And I think celebrities and people who have been in the mainstream media have talked about that quite a bit, and I think that's great to have to look. At the time, it was a bit shit, but now looking back, it was really good to have that. So yeah, that fast forward to now, I've done quite a bit, work in the media, a lot of presenting, started my own media company, and then also done a bit of traveling. So I did a gap year. We did 3 months in Kenya working for a children's charity out there called Chrzastek Africa.
For such a young person as yourself, to be involved in something like this, do you have any sort of voice when it comes to the organizational side of the charity?
Yeah, I suppose I do. I'm really junior, so I'm not even on the trustee board. We have like a whole trustee board and stuff like that, and it's all under another trust. We operate under another sort of whole trust where we have the women's group under there and other stuff as well. So it's a bit complicated, but in terms of, I'm sort of got a fair voice as an ambassador, but I'll try and guide the people at the charity what the right thing is to do. I think I know it quite well as well. I obviously worked with them over like a year and a half now, on and off. So I've understood all parts of it. So the assets I bring to it is definitely the media sort of side as well. When I was out there last month, we're doing a lot of media stuff. We got a new marketing person and trying to work with them. I have a fairly strong voice. I have to be a bit careful because I'm still young, so I'm still, compared to like our 60-year-old trustee, or compared to Mary's 83, who's been the whole life of living in Kenya, understanding how it all works. You have to be obviously very respectful, but obviously, yeah, showcase your ambition and ideas, and that's why we encourage volunteers to come out, is to come and show stuff to your kids, and also how you can help the charity. The kids, we're still quite a small member of staff. We can't fund a lot of members of staff. We have, I think, 25 now, but only about 6 or 7 of those are actually working with the kids and looking after them. We have 4 boarding people, and then we have our health and safety manager, like Luke, who's like manages the whole place and does social care. And then we have like goods in, those sort of people. So that's why we have to have volunteers, is because they can come and look after the kids and teach them stuff, make sure they're doing their homework, that sort of thing, helping them, going and taking them on walks on the weekend, because they do get bored. They are kids, they want to be adventurous. So like when I was out there, we did like a football match and stuff like that. So yeah, yes and no, I think is the answer to that. I think it's more complicated than just a simple question. Yeah.
Okay, in terms of the structure, and you mentioned how many people are involved, etc. I'm really curious about let's say, a bit more like tech side of running it.
Yeah.
Are you involved in any of that?
It's definitely something we discussed, because at the moment we sort of run off quite old-fashioned. I say old-fashioned probably like 5 or 6 years ago, but we sort of run of the very old, print everything off. So print sort of all the accounts off. I don't have a lot to do with the accounting, but it's very much like print it all off, get it signed by 3 or 4 different levels of authority before it can get approved. I think that's more because the Kenyan system works up differently. A lot of stuff is very old-fashioned. It's quite interesting, really, because it runs off, the Kenyan actually society runs off like M-Pesa, if you've ever heard of that or not. So there isn't really such thing as card machines out there. Okay. There is for like developed businesses, but for like the average food shop, let's say if I go to the supermarket, which looks very different compared to like Co-op down the road from here, you basically, your number is how you'll pay. So I have
the phone number.
Yeah, it's in the phone number. Yeah. So I have my Kenyan phone number, and you have an M-Pesa, which is like the government run thing, which is linked to the phone number. And I think that's mainly was set up because of people don't really have you don't have a lot of registered addresses. A lot of people will live in like kind of shacky kind of built houses. They're still livable in, and the people still might have a job as like a school teacher or a businessman, or have a respectable trade and a respectable person, but just the bank account system doesn't work so well.
I see.
So there are banks and stuff. It does exist, obviously it does. But for the way it works is you'll literally have your account, a M-Pesa account, which I'll put money into from my bank account, and that's how you'll pay the local people. So you'll send money to their number.
Now that you're describing it, I think, I'm originally from Poland, and there is something called Blik.
Yeah.
And it's also like, so all your banking stuff is linked to the phone number, and you can just send money through.
Yeah, of course.
Change money using the. Okay, that sounds similar.
Yeah, it's
practical, isn't it?
It is. It is quite. When you first go out, it's pretty mad because you're like, oh, this is a bit odd. From just we just use contactless, so don't we? Just contactless that quite cashless society, but there it's still very cash society, still very M-Pesa based. But to answer your question on the structure side of it, we are very much like got email systems still. We're looking at implementing probably something that's a bit easier for everyone to sign off rather than having physical signatures. But again, we're still a charity that has to invest a lot of its time into more other stuff at the moment rather than the sort of computing side of things. But that's again when people who support us might have assets to be able to do that. Yeah. Not a lot.
Oh, that's great. What a story.
Thank you very much. No, it's brilliant to be invited on anyway. And yeah, there's so much to it, and I just so much looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to what the next sort of year or so will bring. The presenting stuff's be honest with you, it's sort of all a bit of a mess. I'm still trying to figure it out still.
Well, you've got plenty of time to do so.
Exactly.
So, yeah, no pressure, no pressure.
I think, I just started my media company as well, and I'm trying to build that up as well as the podcast. But I kind of decided that realistically presenting isn't going to get you as much income, but also I grow all the projects I want to grow. So it's about doing it all together in one, I think.
Are you able to share anything around your sort of future plans?
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
presenting? Can you give us a glimpse?
I think so. At the moment, we've just launched Down the Farm Media.
Okay.
So the Down the Farm podcast was started in 23, I think, when I was 17, 18.
Okay.
And when we first started, we were awful. Like it was bad. Like we had some really good guests. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to use audio. I didn't know how to, present or interview at all. And I'm still learning now. That's the brilliant thing about the podcast. I started it. It's called Down the Farm, hence because of the original accident. So I brought the listeners and viewers back to where my journey first started. I call my I've learned a lot of life skills and a lot of life lessons at a young age, and I want to try and, again, it's uplifting everybody, isn't it? It's being in that environment of uplifting. So that's what the that's what the podcast is basically based around. So we get guests from all walks of life, and basically bring them down to my safe space. But I've sort of grown that over the last couple of years. It's been on and off. We've done series of it, and I kind of find series don't really work on a podcast. I think you have to be quite consistent to keep that viewer. If people are going to rate that part of the week to listen to you, you've got to make sure you deliver.
Yep.
And I think that's the media side of stuff as well. So we've created that, and that's got a fair bit of following now, and I'm really happy about that. And it's still taking a lot of work. We're still audio based. We're hopefully going to go visual soon. Hence, you've been helping me teach all this sort of stuff. And then we've just launched Down the Farm Media, which is a media company, which now Down the Farm podcast sits under.
Okay.
We offer marketing, so initial market research for maybe where you need social media, maybe where your company's gone wrong, events, so that could be weddings, birthdays, those sort of things, on a slightly smaller scale than large scale at the moment, in terms of videos and also audio, whatever you want us to do, we're audio and visual. And then also social media posts, so we can create sort of videos for you guys. We can do that initial sort of marketing and research, and then we can do the social media side and actually run it for you, which our first client we're actually doing now. He's got 6 businesses, and we've done a whole market research for him. We've told him where he needs to improve and stuff, and he's like, right, you guys just run it. I'll give you full control. So that's a bit nerve-wracking, especially sort of being I've had plenty of experience. I've done it for a couple of years now. So I kind of decided, if I'm going to grow my podcast and grow my audio sort of and visual lessons and learn lessons about it and how to improve, I think you've got to take those skills and put them somewhere else as well.
Yep.
Which I'm trying to do now.
And what's the idea behind the podcast? Are you planning to use it as a vehicle to boost something else, like another part of your business, the media side potentially? Or
I think they do coincide now. We haven't had any kind of sponsorship or anything like that, and now I can say Down the Farm Media is going to be our main sponsor. But I think that's the idea. Also, just presenting experience. Obviously, the goal is, ideally, I want to go into sport presenting. My dream would be doing the Olympics, something like that. Because I think that really sort of embraces everything that I've been trying to talk about and be passionate about for the last couple of years through all sorts of media stuff I've done. That's the goal, but I have to. There's no easy way of doing it in this day and age. I've tried. Honestly, I've tried every route in the last couple of years. I've done sort of. I've failed. That's a big example. I have failed and failed and failed and failed, and I'm just still trying to learn. But I feel like failure is such a big teacher in life, 100%. Because you're not gonna. Why would anyone ever think that you're gonna be on this life, on this planet, and you're gonna immediately get the job or immediately succeed?
Doesn't happen, does it?
You don't know what you're doing. You're not gonna succeed
unless you have a powerful parent or an uncle.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Unless you just have. It's all about contacts. It really is.
Absolutely.
I got really humble. I went to a job interview up in. I can say it now because it's done. But up in Ascot racecourse.
Okay.
My family were in horse racing and sort of background and equestrian. To do television there, and I didn't get the job. I didn't even get the internship, but it was really good just to have that experience of going and meeting. I was interviewed by Nick Luck, actually himself, who actually runs a really successful podcast and has a really big sort of TV presence in that world. So I think I've only ever really got to stuff like Africa. I've only really done because I failed in the first place. I never got a proper internship in TV. I never did lots of things I wanted to do back then that I never either pursued or didn't get. I mean, we were talking a couple of years ago now. There's lots of different stuff. My outlook's changed on what I want to go to now. And hence with the Down the Farm Media, I've only started it because the TV stuff and the racing model didn't work out for me just a couple months ago. So I think failure is definitely a big sort of teacher and can be such a blessing as well. And
teacher, yes, but it motivates, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's an element of
it definitely thrives me to go further.
Very good.
I feel like if you just didn't I mean, it wouldn't make sense if you didn't fail. If you're not failing, you're not doing something right. I think I don't know who said that, but someone said that to me, or I watched on the video. Someone said, you're not failing, you're not doing it right. Or if you're not failing, you're not even trying because you're not pushing yourself out your comfort zone.
100%.
Yeah.
But again, for you, to be at such a young age, being exposed to so many things already, all, people, all walks of life, charity work, all these kind of things. What an amazing baggage to bring into any situation.
Absolutely.
Right? It gives you the versatility. It gives you the confidence as well. You walked in, like we've known each other for, a couple of years at least, right? And I love it because, there's so many people who are just like, afraid of life.
Yeah, exactly.
These days.
I mean,
in terms of the organization that you are building, right? Can you share anything on the tech side? What you're leveraging, what you're using. Obviously this is a big part of the show. So
yeah, of course. So at the moment we use we do an audio software,
okay,
and then we do a sort of video software. We use a different few ones. I actually use, believe it or not, and people might be against me, I actually use Canva for a lot of our poster stuff. So I find it quite interesting. Well, I find it very easy.
And when you say Canva, just the basic one or the AI version?
Both, if I want to.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I don't really do the AI topic, but not really the AI stuff. Mainly Canva for those sort of things. The audio software I use is something called Wavepad, which you might have heard of. Pay a subscription for it, but it basically got everything you ever want on there.
Didn't they have like a lifetime option? So you pay once and it's like
yeah. So I think it was something like 50 pounds. I think it was something really cheap just for a lifetime worth of it. So so what we can do, obviously, in terms of how the podcast works, because we're still audio and no visual, we'll create templates on something like Canva or maybe some other AI stuff. Or honestly, it changes very, very quickly in what IC systems we use. In terms of that, we can then edit all together on a video software where we can obviously put the audio clip, which is the main bit, and then a cover photo. In terms of how we're distributing it, it's very much just upload. There's no way you don't pay anyone to do it. It's definitely ourselves. I know there are companies that you can pay to do it, but that's very basic IT software. I have worked with IT software that's quite complicated. So for our family business, it was tractor parts, which is what we call non-original parts. So you've got OEM parts for tractor machinery, which are like, let's say you've got the brand John Deere, which I think everybody would know, which is the most generic like tractor, really. Let's say you've got a steering wheel for a John Deere. It's probably worth £1,000, whatever, if it's original and it's bought from the John Deere company. It's bought from someone like us, which is a replica make. It's £100, let's put it that way.
I see.
So what we use there for a lot larger scale. So we go from a small scale of audio and software for a project that I'm working on, but the stuff that I can take from like the CRM we use there, which is got everything on the one system. So you've got sales to stock, to purchasing, to invoicing, to credibility. Which can be a bit of a pain, and it can also create a lot of problems, because if let's say you're in sales and you are distributing, so we have obviously accounts, 30-day accounts, because people like who are long farmers or contractors won't want to pay every single time they come in. They need to grab something and go book it onto the account, and their account's on there, all their information's on there. So you book, like, let's say a drum of oil worth £138 or something like that onto their account, and that's put into the system. Obviously, through tracking and traceability, you can see who's booked that in and who hasn't booked that in, and that sort of thing. So let's say if the stock control is wrong, that can create a whole lot of problems. So there are a lot of problems that are especially when you work in a team that might blame each other as well. Like, you know, if you say, "Oh, it wasn't me, it wasn't me, it wasn't me," we can actually find out because your user will tell you if you actually booked it in the first place or not.
Exactly.
And then also, if you have actually booked it in, then it might tell accounts that we've paid for it, that sort of thing, and then you haven't actually got it. So it can be, but it also is brilliant because you can really trace anything from any part. And I think when you're working with people who are, we use a company called Profit Plus, who are based in Worcester. Well, our LGL is their original brand name. And they're based in, well, our sector's based in Worcester and Broadway. We pay quite a lot of money for them. Don't get me wrong, but then that also links to our website, which is really the brilliant thing about it, because you can have basically the CRM system with all the customers' names and stuff on it. But then in terms of the pricing and availability, you can plug that all in on the CRM system, and it will go up to the website automatically.
So do you let customers look up their parts of what they would like themselves?
It'll be on the website.
Okay.
But we just, at the moment, it's a bit different. On the website, we'll just make them aware that their price will be different.
Okay, yep.
But it is different if they have an account on the website, if that makes sense.
I see, okay.
So our website is different, but we also work with very, very big brands in the UK. One of them is called Cramp UK, who are the biggest UK agricultural supplier.
Okay.
They have recently been really working on their sort of online credibility and also how people are going to use them in the future. That makes sense.
Yep.
So they're what they call KOS. So getting obviously parts next day delivery to the front door rather than having to get them into a stockist like us and then distribute them to everyone else.
I see.
So you think that would probably cut us out, but they haven't got the clientele unless they have us, because we try and get them to sign up for them. So what we can offer then customers to do is we create them their own sort of accounts and logins for the supplier system, and then on the supplier system they'll log in and they'll have their own discounts there. If that makes sense, we can set their discounts on that system.
I see. Yep.
So technically we're billing them from us, and then we just pay the supplier what we need to pay in terms of how much it costs us. So that's when we make our margin.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely that is the biggest market at the moment. It's definitely the next day sort of delivery stuff. People want to click and get it next day. And for something like a barrel all the way to like a hay bob tine, which is like for a hay machine, you know, it's pretty credible that you can get that next day rather than the old fashioned way.
We've been spoiled by the Amazon, basically. But I would not. Yeah, I can't imagine how you can do this with this scale of you know, like machinery, right? You know, because it's all big, heavy stuff.
So it's mainly like we have to use like implement drivers, so like DPD or TNT, FedEx.
Yep.
Which is where it goes wrong in terms of the traceability on the system.
I see. Okay.
So our CM system's built into us, so it's like our company name's Carpenter Goodwin Ltd. So that will be all of our stock, all of our customers or accounts.
Okay.
You know, other things that will include in your business. I'm not going to bore people with all of that, but in terms of us using supplier and using their systems, that's where it can go wrong, because they won't list where it is. They'll say in transit, and the customer said, "Oh, it's supposed to be with me 2 days ago."
Yeah.
And you have to ring up the actual supplier, and oh, sorry, it's still in Sweden. You know, on a ship there, and the customer's stuck to do a job. So that's where the difficult part is. But I don't know if there's anyone who's going to make something that can fix that, but that's just trace and trackability from different companies.
It's tricky because it relies heavily on who is reporting what, right? You know, I've seen parcels many times, stuff that I would order. It was on a ship somewhere. I can only imagine from China, because it took like a month to get here. Yeah. And for the entire time, it just says it was shipped.
Right.
And you've got no indication of when it actually is going to arrive. It's just like, oh, it's in transit.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Where?
I mean, sometimes it can say, oh, it's opposite sides of the spectrum. It can say, oh, it's in Germany or Switzerland, which is where some majority of like West European sort of buildings are for like a lot of these companies in terms of like manufacturing. But then it can be with you like that afternoon, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So that's where it makes a bit of embarrassment as well, I think, for us as the supplier, because it's a bit like, or the stockist, sorry. But that's really what I've mainly learned, and I think I've learned that by 19 sort of 20. So that I made a lot of mistakes. Get me wrong, like I've booked a lot of things to the wrong people. The worst thing is when you have to try and book people's stuff to them, but then it's for a different person. If that makes sense.
I see. Okay.
So it's all and then delivery addresses. So yeah, I made a lot of mistakes, but learning all of that stuff really makes you think when you're in the audio software or the visual software that it's a lot easier. But then again, yes and no. It's very different.
Mm.
But I think if you're somebody who's watching this as an IT, who wants to get into IT, you're gonna make failures and you're gonna make mistakes on any software.
Of course, yeah.
And your bosses will say, "Oh yeah, no, I never made those mistakes," but they definitely did. Yeah.
No, I mean, that's the way to learn, right? You've got to fix something that you've broken in the first place.
Exactly.
You gotta learn how
and
to.
Sometimes you might have to swipe the whole thing and just start it again. Which
true.
Which I usually do. A lot of people go, "Oh, you just click Control and I was like, no, I'm just gonna just start it again."
And the company that you've started, so have you implemented any software so far, CRM or anything like that?
Looking at it, no. At the moment, I'm going to be honest, guys. I'm very basic. I've just done Excel spreadsheets and linked them all together.
But that's a very good point, because it just goes to show that you can still run a business with a very, very basic setup.
You can.
So it's just the way you manage it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You just have to keep things tidy.
Every business I've worked in, our core charity business as well that I've also worked in. But I think every single one I've ever been part of has operated differently. Like my family business is totally. When I was in corporate events, that was totally different system. Because we were employing hundreds of people. We in terms of corporate events, I was on like the logistics side, so I get all the stuff to site and then make sure there's enough bars there or enough kegs of beer and that sort of thing. And we're based in the middle of nowhere, and we'd have to drive like 4 or 5 hours. But then the other side of the business is that people to work the bars at the events.
Yep.
So I'd be like a member of staff, and I'd have a payroll on the payroll. But these guys would be freelance, and they'd come in. So their system had to be a lot more complicated.
Yep.
Because they'd have to freelance people, on the app, and they just sign up for a shift, that sort of thing. Like I've worked in business of that, but even I've only just started. So really, for me, all I need to do is just do Excel spreadsheets. In my eyes, I don't know. I might be wrong. Some people operate differently, but me at the moment, it's Excel spreadsheets of content. So content recording.
Yep.
In terms of when I'm going to be releasing stuff. When this can obviously you can use AI maybe for this if you wanted to. Content was in what platforms are going out on, because I got 3 or 4 different platforms on each social media site. I think at the moment I'm trying to run, plus the 6 of my new client. So content release for my personal stuff, then invoicing, then pricing and costs, those sort of things, and then guests for the podcast. So I don't forget that. I'll put that in my diary anyway.
Yep.
And then obviously for the actual customer, I'll create my own sort of folder for him or her, and basically just do a whole breakdown. I've recently, my latest one, I'll be honest, I just broke it down into engagement. So obviously I do a sort of a monthly assessment of how many followers they got.
Yep.
How much engagement they've had in the first, like that last month. Or they do 28 days usually on Meta. That's usually how they set it. So engagement, followers, watch time, average age. Put that in. Every 28 days you update it, and obviously throughout it gets very complicated by this point. Then obviously the content you created, you have to list out what you're going to be doing for them. Again, analytics. I'm not a huge fan of like going through all the stuff and seeing how many followers you got, because I prefer just doing the creation side of it. But you have to do that obviously as part of the business.
Of course, you have to prove your activity
exactly.
somehow, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's going back to the showing the customer what you've been doing, isn't it? That's why you have to do it. But then from Excel, you can create pie charts, and you can do quite a lot of different cool stuff. Yep. And you can also obviously implement code into it as well. So that's what I'm using at the moment, to be honest with you. But I suppose I'm still very new. I don't need anything else at the moment in my eyes. But again, when you start to get maybe 5 or 6 different clients on the go, you've got to have something a bit more like a CRM system, probably a bit in place.
I personally met the person. Shout out to you, Lou, if you're listening. She started a business, a beauty business, without even a laptop. She didn't realize that she needs one, right?
Yeah. And
then she went and won 2 years in a row, best startup of the year.
Oh wow, really?
So it goes to show that you can just start, basic.
I
and
think you've got to understand your strengths and weaknesses. That's definitely the biggest thing. I think definitely your costs. You've got to keep an eye on your overheads. And that's basics of business. But
of course,
I think you have to. Once you've done that, really, it's up
but
to
you'd
you.
be surprised how many people don't realize that you have to pay attention to that.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing you have to. If you're listening and you want to start a business, please just get either trained or like just train yourself, or go and do some experience and understanding how overheads and keeping managing them,
Profit and loss.
profit and loss,
Yeah.
basic margin, working out stuff. Like you've got to understand that before you start a business.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
You
know,
can harm yourself basically.
yeah.
And others.
I didn't. I was like that when I first started. When I started the podcast, I had to pay subscriptions for. We use something called our RSS feed. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Yeah.
So that's who we use for our podcast, which are brilliant because they take a bit of money. They're not like it's not stupid money. It's like the low tens every month, nothing at all. But then they distribute it off every platform you want to.
Yep.
I don't have to go through every single platform and upload it every single one.
Yep.
I obviously work full time on top. Well, I did at the time when I first started the podcast. I was at college and I worked full time, so I hadn't got time to spend 4 hours putting it in every single thing. So
Sure.
we use something called RSS feed, and Wavepad and something. So when I first started, I was more of a project, so more of a hobby, and me just trying to think if I wanted to do this or not. So
Yep.
That's when it. But then I think when you have to realize if you want to do it professionally and you want to start doing, you've got to start sort of really putting it into. And if you want to progress and grow, honestly, it will help you.
Got it.
And don't get too worried if the overheads get too much. I think there comes a point where maybe you have to realize actually it's making you money, but that's when you start to. Let's go back to the failure thing, of realizing actually let's try and find a new avenue to how we can maybe get some sponsorship, which we're starting to do now, or possibly get people to maybe pay or sponsor a bit of money. It's all about community. Like podcast is a community, or maybe a TV show or a film production company, something like that. Anything is a big community, and sometimes when you're starting out, it's not a bad thing to say, look, I need some sponsorship or some help or support me, whatever.
Sure.
Or invest your money into it.
Well, many people make a living these days that, just relying on donations and stuff like that, because they just, provide so much value to the community and to the listeners.
A big example in like radios at the moment, as we're recording this, Radio 1, I don't know if you heard of Greg James.
Yes. Yeah.
He's a big inspiration for me in terms of presenting, because he's sort of behind the scenes of stuff. He's really had to work his way up, and he's actually got a lot more hours than people think into.
I don't know his story very well, but I heard of him.
He hosts the Breakfast Show on Radio 1, which is like Europe's biggest radio station. It's huge. Obviously, I think everyone will know who Radio 1 is anyway.
Yep.
BBC Radio 1, for those who aren't that sure. Basically, he's cycling from Land's End to John O'Groats on a tandem bike, which obviously tandem's a 2-seater bike, which is just insane for comic relief right now. And I think it shows really from the community aspect of media companies, because obviously a radio station, they've just gone. I was listening to this as I was driving up to here. It's gone over £2.2 million now. They've raised for comic relief.
Unbelievable.
Just for cycling a bike. Well, I know it's a big challenge cycling.
It is. A friend of mine did it.
Yeah, tandem bike as well. But that comes back to the community. Actually, people will support you. So when you are starting out business, let alone from the IT stuff, don't be a dick, basically. Don't be. I've seen people.
Don't be a Richard.
I've seen people who have like run businesses and like will get very pissed off with people who are like don't help them or whatever. Or you've got to be very ethically good as a business. I think I always believe in business ethics, and I really think it comes back to you, because when something goes wrong, or you have a hard time, or the market goes, they'll still be there to support you.
Yeah. Well, you are the face of your business, aren't you? So you have to keep your brand tidy and make sure that you follow what you actually say.
Yeah.
And so you walk the walk and you talk the talk, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's both.
That's what's brilliant about building a personal brand, I think. Definitely. That's the thing. You can sort of just be yourself. And it's always a bit like, oh, how much should you show really to media? But not too fast.
It's tough to draw the line, because on one hand, when you have that business mindset, and I'm guilty of that myself, you just want to show on one hand as much as you can, but then doing anything and recording it takes 3 times as long to do anything, because you have to take this angle, take that angle, just show this, show that, and you retake and all that, so it just wastes so much time. So I think, and I'm really curious about, your opinion on this one. It becomes more and more popular that people just show the sort of raw side of it. So it's unedited. It's just, recorded on the phone, just, a little bit of a, snippet. Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And it is taking off on social media now.
Yeah, I've done that for, if I'm honest, quite a while.
Okay.
I do a lot of stuff on socials where I'll try and update everyone what I'm doing. Especially when you come back to charity stuff. I did some pretty bleak videos when I was doing like the challenges. Like we did that 300-mile cycle over
Yep.
Wales, and that was pretty. Like I just was very honest. You just be very open. I do agree. Be very open, and honest about how it's doing, and that links back to ethically. If people supporting you, you're not doing really well, and mentally it's getting too much. Doing a video like that. I try and mix the two. I did a lot when I first started out. I did a lot more of, because I didn't really know how to edit or anything like that. I did a lot more of just like getting the camera and filming, and like, hello, welcome to. But now I try and mix the two. I do media and do professional. Try and edit proper videos, but it tends to be on my actual personal social media, not the podcast or any or the media company or anything like that. I'll try and do videos like that still. So yeah, I agree. I think they're a bit more personal. I think people take them to a bit more and listen to what you're saying.
Sure. And there is that element of, if you spend too much time editing, it is a big sort of chore at this point, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't see the results straight away, it becomes like, it is like depressing. Like, I've put in so much work in that video and it's not taking off.
Gosh,
it's not.
Yeah, people don't see the editing side.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Like, it's a long process.
Yeah. You could have something recorded on your phone and it's got thousands of views versus something that you've polished and edited and all that, and it's got like 100. Where's the logic in that?
I feel like you have to. I feel that's why it goes back to, like, when I started podcast or whenever you want to do anything, you have to just think you're connecting to the one person, aren't you? You're connected to one listener. Like if we're talking to the mics now, you're thinking, right, this is for one person listening.
Yeah.
I feel like that's same with it's a basic role of TV presenters and radio presenters. I think you're not talking to 3 million people or 100 people or talking to one person. I feel that's what you have to keep thinking on. And you have to keep following your passion to create, I think.
I'm on that.
That's the only way. That's the only way I get through it. So I even spent. I think Monday this week I had a long old day, and I think I spent 3 hours. Podcasts don't take me that long to edit now, especially because we're not video yet. It's a lot easier just to edit. And I've done it, and I'm quite experienced with 3 series in now, so it's like quite easy to do. But the one that I did, it took me 3 hours to edit. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is like I was so drained by the end of it. I had a whole bunch of stuff to do when we were taking on our first client, that we were just starting to do work for him. So I was like, I had to take myself to the gym for an hour and just do an hour gym session, because I do a lot of fitness as part of the brand now as well, or a lot of stuff I try and promote. And it's definitely something you have to keep in your heart, to keep thinking what you're trying to produce. Otherwise, it does drive you mad. I think sat in front of a screen for 3 hours trying to click and edit.
That's it.
You have to take a break.
And that's why it's also important to pay attention to what you're using to do certain things, because sometimes, you could be doing the same activity like editing or whatever, but, doing it in one tool, it's going to take you 3 hours, but there might be something else that's doing a similar thing, but it's slightly easier or quicker. Of course. And it's, you might be saving yourself a couple of hours per episode or whatever. So, like paying attention to your, I would call it, tech stack is quite important.
That's a brilliant thing of learning. It's a beautiful thing of learning, is that you're doing new stuff the whole time. There's lots of different tricks and stuff that I've learned, I'm sure you have, that have saved me now hours of stuff that I didn't know I could do before.
Yep.
And it's definitely something that that's just part of life. Part of any it's not just media, anything, if it's business or if it's whatever you want to do in life, there are going to be things you're going to learn along the way, which is why learning is so important, really, for me.
I truly believe, and I think it's been said online so many times now that, the guys, listening, they might already, have an awareness of that. But the moment you open anything in terms of the business, you have like, different types of debt that you're facing, right? It's technology debt, because you don't have the absolute best technology available for that activity. Because how can you? You don't have the cash flow yet. You don't have this, and that. Obviously, you had that in terms of, let's say the ignorance or the knowledge debt, because you don't have the 100% of awareness of every single problem that you might be facing. You don't know how to fix it yet, because you haven't come across that issue yet. You will eventually, but not the day you opened it. So there's 2 types of that just right away. The minute you open something, start at something, that's what you're facing. And it's only going to go worse if you don't do anything about it, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one thing that I like to do, if it's not going, is structure the whole business out. So we talked about this when we first met on that Nick James, is that name?
Yes.
Nick James, yeah. When we first met on that course, he exampled this of terms of you get a whole. I'll point it to camera so people on the camera can see.
Sure.
If you're listening, you just have to imagine it in your head. got a whole line of things basically, and this is the start end of the project. It could be the whole business, or it could just be a small aspect, like creating a podcast episode, and that could be the end. And you structure it in little bits along the timeline, and you work progressional backwards. You find where avenues might have gone wrong, or might need tweaking, whatever. And some of them, that's where the problem is. I think some people think you'll brush over it and you go, "Oh, it's fine, it does the job," but that's probably where you need to actually work on, and probably where that's the extra revenue is going to come from, or how you're going to start to make money, that sort of thing. And it's just having the guts to do it. But yeah, there is a lot of scary debt when you, and we're at that stage at the moment as a business. We only launched like really in the last couple of months, so it's been like I'm very creative. I'll just go for it. I'll just do the ideas, and if they don't work, they don't work.
I see.
And I've done a lot of different stuff in my time. Done a lot of my time. I'm only 20, but you know, I've gone and pushed myself. I like to push myself into a bit of different things. I hate sort of things still. My family are very much the same because from the farming back. I think it's the farming mentality.
Yep.
Because like Grandad's 87, he still works full time. You know, it's definitely that's where I get it from. But yeah, there is definitely, don't be afraid if it's the start and it's starting to build up, because I've decided a new project like done with my media, and yeah, we're just building up debt at the moment. We're not making it. We're starting to earn money. Don't get me wrong. We did our first invoice yesterday, but it's still like, again, trying to buy new equipment. It's not cheap. That sort of stuff. It's long-term investment planning. So that's when you have to work hard and structure and keep going, because you need to make the money back to pay off the
course.
debt.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions from the community that I'm building, right? So as part of the show, there's going to be a community, and I let the people who sign up ask questions to the guest, right?
Yeah.
So the two that I've picked for today, simply because they are aligned with, you know, your background and expertise. First of all, what is the importance, in your opinion, to see, you know, of seeing another country?
Ooh.
Because that opens your mind in ways that, you know, I personally have seen it myself, right? You know, I moved from Poland 13 years ago, and, you know, that changed my perspective on how things operate, how things work, you know, what life looks like somewhere else. So when I go back, I no longer feel at home in a way that I changed my perspective. I became a hybrid, basically, right? You know, you're no longer the same person.
It's true.
So how does that look like in your case?
I think, firstly, when I left Kenya for the last time, last time I was out there, they one of my work colleagues said, "Oh, you are Kenyan now. You realize that you have adapted to the Kenyan mindset."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, right, okay." But I feel like, as a person, as whatever country you're watching this from or listening to it from, yeah, you're brought up in that atmosphere of that country's beliefs and faded into sort of society there, and society, like it or not, your character, who you are, is affected by society. Like, you're raised through how to treat people, how, you know, different cultures, different respects, and that sort of thing. But the beauty of going abroad and seeing different countries is it's a lot of freedom, because you get to just sort of go away from maybe family and friends and just sort of explore yourself personally. But also, secondly, is just see the culture. There's so much culture in the UK, in the sort of world. Like, there isn't so much in the UK as people think, compared to lots of other countries. And it's also understanding how different ecosystems work. Not necessarily saying that you're lucky, but also just saying that you have this understanding perspective of maybe how other people may be treated in different cultures. So whether that's maybe people who have been slightly less well off in life, or maybe people who have been more well off in life, you can then say to yourself as a person, I feel like if you're on your deathbed and you're looking back and you've got the whole world to explore, that you haven't at least tried to go out and do it, I don't know if I could live myself with that. And I feel like, really, my advice is, whatever age you are, like this, there's a whole world of different people, different communities on all parts of it. Not everyone's accessible, don't get me wrong, because there are different conflicts and whatever. But if you have the opportunity, just go and do it, and just explore yourself a bit and explore the world, and just be a bit adventurous. Because there's only so much the UK or wherever you're watching can offer you. And I feel like you can maybe even explore something that you didn't know you could achieve anyway. Like, I had no idea that I was going to go to Africa and achieve the stuff I did. I just thought, oh, maybe this could be a good idea. And I'll tell you what, the person I am now compared to the person I was before I left traveling is definitely very different. I think not in a bad way, but I think every single family member and friend will tell me, saying that I'm definitely a bit more open. My friend's saying I'm a bit more sort of a lot more kind than I even used to be. You know, I was a kind person back then, but they're saying, but that's because I've sort of seen and be very grateful for what I have seen.
Yep.
So yeah, experience the culture and for yourself. Those are the two main things from traveling. I'd give to somebody. Yeah.
Well, one thing I would add to this, and that's from personal experience. I would, first of all, I would 100% agree with you. So, you know, no question about it. It opens you to certain things. And, you know, you learn things about yourself that you wouldn't otherwise.
Yeah.
I've seen more of the UK than I've seen of Poland, just because you take it for granted that you're somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I grew up here, so there's nothing
Exactly.
extremely
so true,
curious to see, right?
But
it's just like a thing, isn't it? You don't even think about that.
It is.
And also on the front of moving, you know, you don't want to end up with regrets, right?
No.
And I do have one. You know, when I, you know, was going through the exams at the end of the high school, and you were like, you know, applying for universities and stuff like this, at that point I had an opportunity to study in the UK, and I didn't, because my family was like, oh, but you're going to be so far away, blah blah. And if I had a voice in that sort of circle to say, no, just go for it, just be brave, etc., if I heard that, I think I would have done it. So I would have been here way longer and way earlier in my life, and it would have changed things, I bet.
I think it's definitely, I mean, I got a story to that. I got a friend of mine who is originally from the Caribbean, the British Virgin Islands, and his parents sent him over to the UK.
Yep.
Again, because I was lucky enough to go to boarding school. We met at boarding school. Yeah, we've been lifelong friends since this about when we were 8 or 10 years old.
Okay.
8, 9, 10, something around that age. And we went to the same senior school together as well. And his life ambition is to be a pilot. And he's just qualified at the age of 19 to be a commercial pilot. Like, you know, you can fly a 747 now. It's pretty, it's mad, a 19-year-old. Obviously, he's only second officer or whatever. He's not like in charge of the whole plane.
Well, but still, you know, he's on the trajectory to wow.
But again, that's he grew up on his parents emigrated to the Caribbean because they sailed the world and whatever. Quite a nice story actually. And his dad's a boat mechanic, so he gets quite a lot of the businesses, yacht sort of servicing, that sort of thing.
Yep. Is he still here in the UK, or
he's? I think he's in Ireland at the moment. I need to get in contact. I haven't actually seen him for 2 years. It's quite sad because he's been away in Florida actually training to be a pilot.
Wow.
Yeah, no, he's going to be based in the UK, and I think he'll start with short haul and then get longer. But it's definitely that message of he has always wanted to be a pilot since he was. I honestly can't remember, like probably since I first met him.
Wow.
When we said, "Oh, what do you want to do when you're and your kids and you're trying to?"
Yep.
Yeah, I want to be a fireman. I want to do this. He's like, I want to be a pilot. I want to go into and we were like, yeah, okay. And throughout my whole time knowing him in junior school, he was like always ambitious to it. And in senior school, he started going like getting on the RAF cadets. He'd go on flight training. He'd go on gliders. He'd get flight simulators for IT systems. He'd get like flight IT systems installed on his laptop, so he could not pretend, but you could like learn how it all works.
It's like a simulation, isn't it? Yeah.
You get the simulation gear. You get for every birthday and Christmas. And you fly back and forth in the Caribbean. And he'd get his private pilot, do like private pilot's license stuff. I don't think he actually got that. I think he just went straight to the commercial. But you know, that's a good example of following your gut, like you said, like with the studying stuff. Good example of being in a different country. You know, he was, like I said, he was very nervous. He was 8 or 9 years old when he got sent to the UK. So it's good school. Yeah, it's very like Harry Potter. It's just like but you know, he's followed it, and now he's achieved his goal, and he's couldn't be more happy. But he has had to sacrifice a lot. Like a lot of his social life went last 2 years because
I can imagine.
The pilot stuff is mad. It's like equivalent of doing 3 A levels every 2 weeks, something like that. And if you fail, you go back to the start of the course. So yeah, but that's a good example. Just to add to your second.
Wow.
What was the second question? You had 2, I think.
Yes, yeah. The second one is more on the business side itself, because you know, you are starting things fresh. You know, with a brand new thing. How do you approach sales and approach customers in that early stage? You know, so is there anything for anybody listening, you know, that you can share, you know, that would be a best practice? So if they are starting a business, and many people who are listening would be in that situation, or maybe just started, you know, is there anything that you could, you know, advise on that helps with that initial process? It's hard to get the momentum, right? I've 100%. Seen it, you've seen it.
Yeah.
So
I'm quite lucky. I've had quite a lot of experience in it, especially selling products. I've been on a sales team for a couple of years.
Yep.
My main advice to anybody would be, firstly, you got to know your product inside out. You got to know your business strategy, and you got to know your product inside out, because you'll have customers and you'll have people who will be very tricky and will test your knowledge to the absolute max. Secondly, pricing. You've got to know. I know it sounds really boring to start with. This is your foundation advice. Products, pricing, strategies. You know them and they're ingrained to your head, and you're away to begin with.
Okay.
Passionate, and also not being too nervous. And that can be tricky. I've quite lucky that I've started when I was like 16, 17.
Yep.
We do a lot of countryside shows and stuff. So I'd be at the front man, and that is literally, you're seeing thousands of people a day at these countryside shows, and you're trying to talk to a random stranger trying to sell them a product. It's a good experience. So that's another thing. Get experience probably before you start. Maybe go and do some work experience if you're younger, or maybe go and get a job somewhere else while you're trying to start it up. But yeah, knowing your product and what you're producing, your strategy and your pricing off by heart is probably the best advice, because you can be ambitious and you can come across a lot better, but also think compared to competitors, how you could sell yourself.
Okay.
So a lot of market research as well. I've got this product, I've got a spanner. It's not like any other spanner because it's got a metric on the one side, it's got an imperial on the other side.
Yep.
And it's 2 years warranty compared to the half-year warranty of my competitor, and it's £3 less, that sort of thing, $9.99. Plus, if you're trying to sell something like a media company, you're better off saying, how are you? Nice to meet you. This is what I do. I specialize in this and this, my experience. So it really is, to be honest, depends what you're doing.
But at that point, you are the product in a way. So you present yourself
Present
as
yourself.
best as possible.
So if you're selling products, it's definitely all the information, and then how you probably describe that to somebody.
Got it.
The more confidence you have, the more someone's going to buy into you. It's people buy, much as you think sales is also people buying into you. It's trusting you.
Yeah.
It's having that one-to-one connection. So really having your business you work for, the business that is yours, backs up with like website links or phone addresses, or your personal phone number for like a work phone maybe.
Yep.
That will give the customer a bit more satisfaction and sort of backing to make sure they feel like they're trusting the product, even if it's something like a spanner. Because trust me, it does work. I've done it before.
And then many times it's little things, like, the number of times I see a van somewhere just going through the town and it says something at gmail.com as a business address. I'm really bothered by that, because it literally costs you like, I don't know, maybe less than £10 a month to have a proper domain with the name of your business there.
It's a big thing.
It looks way more professional, and people don't realize that there's so many businesses, especially in trades and these kind of niches, where it's like literally Gmail. Like, come on. I mean, it can be Gmail, don't get me wrong, you can still use that, but on the surface the name could be a professional, nice email address that represents you better.
Brand idealization and also brand awareness is a big thing, I think. That's not so much selling. That's it is selling. It does back up your selling.
It's like a passive selling, isn't it? Like just
I'm quite lucky that when my experience in selling is either there's been somebody when I first started who was there with me, and sort of, if I made a fuck up, then they could like help me. Don't go into it if you don't know, because you can get yourself in a big hole. I've gone in to try and sell stuff, like county shows and stuff, and I have quoted the wrong price, and it's probably cost us like sometimes £200 more than I quoted them. We've had to make a loss. That's failure again. There's no easy way of doing it. You have to fail, understand it, but the more prepared you are about the product, the better you speak about it, and don't let people's reaction put you down. If somebody reacts to you in like if I like go, okay, this is really passionate, and then you go, oh, that's interesting. So what else can it do? What does that bit do there? Just be polite and kind. Just be like, oh, that's because sometimes they actually might be interested in buying the product. They're just testing you. Because a lot of people, you've got like hundreds. Everyone's different, aren't they? Everyone's got different ways of bidding around it. I'd usually just have an honest conversation with them myself. But some people are, especially when they're spending a lot of money, quite inquisitive, which is fair enough. Absolutely fair enough.
And whatever you are offering, you've got to believe in that, right?
Exactly.
Whether you are representing somebody else or yourself, especially, right? You've got to bet on you, right? You are good, you are worth it, right? And stuff like that. As soon as you have that doubt in your mind, it will come across. people will
Yeah.
notice that, oh, he's not 100% sold on himself, so why
Yeah.
would we?
And if you and if you don't know what you do, if you don't know the answer to a question, either if you're working for a business, say, look, oh, I don't know, which I do sometimes. Let's say they say, oh, what's the price on this? Oh, I don't know. Let me ask my price. Make it up a bit. Let me ask my pricing expert. So I go over to the manager and say, oh, how much am I in it? Oh, we just asked my pricing colleague. Oh, he said it's that much. Okay, I'll take it. You know,
But
that
it's
sort of
way
thing.
better than just come
Yeah.
up with
It's rather
something
than
and then it's
saying,
wrong.
Oh, it's this. Oh, hang on. Matt, which like the one I call it. Matt, how much is it? Well, let me go and ask my. You know, just be confident with it.
Yep.
And that's the same. Or even say, or we could do it. Like, let's say, someone said to me, for the media side of things, oh, I don't really offer the AI stuff. Oh, but we could do a bit of. I said, yeah. I said I could do it if you wanted me to. I can teach myself how to do it. It's not that hard.
Yep.
And we can offer that as an extra on. Like, just be adaptable. And if people are buying into you, they'll have. You know, if you're honest, they won't mind.
Yep.
So.
Has it ever happened to you that you say yes even though you feel like you should say no because you are kind of scared?
Yeah.
It's part of a thing, isn't it? You know, it's how you grow.
Yeah, I can't remember what a good example of it would be, but I definitely have done it before where it's just I've said yes and then I had to get my colleagues to do it because I haven't a clue how to do it.
Yeah, but that's, you know,
I'm quite known for that within the business I used to work for, to be honest with you. Not in a bad way, but it's like, oh yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
I don't think there is anything wrong with that as long as you just, you know, pull it off, basically. As long as you manage to
I
deliver.
Some people, I think it's a bit different because the business I used to work for was also the family business, so I try and put a bit more heart and soul into it.
Yep.
But everyone's had, you used to say, oh, I overpromised a bit more.
Mm.
I'd be like, I don't really overpromise because they'd be like, oh, they're using us. I said, they're not using us because they spend a couple £100, maybe a bit down the line, possibly.
Yep.
I said, if that is the case, that they have used us, then so be it. That's business. People will do that to you. So yeah, be a bit switched on that you're not possibly giving away your services for free as well, and your knowledge for free. But yeah, that's also where I've gone wrong as well. I've accidentally quoted the customer like the price of how much it costs us and that sort of thing.
I see.
Or they've come around and seen my screen and I've left it open on my screen and that sort of thing.
Okay,
Yeah,
it was great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
No worries,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All the best. Thank you.
All the best. Thank you.